Thanksgiving is for family, not you, she said with a smile so cold the cranberry sauce curdled in my chest. My name is Rachel. And from wherever you're watching this, tell me in the comments, stay with me. Because the moment she said that, I realized I'd been nothing more than their convenience. And this Thanksgiving? It would be the last time they tasted comfort on my dime. It started with a simple question. Do you want me to bring the pies or the mashed potatoes this year? My mother looked up from her phone and said without hesitation, actually, Rachel, you don't have to come at all. It's already too crowded. Plus, your brother's fiancé invited some of her family. We're trying to keep it close. Close. He meant them. Not me. I blinked. You're uninviting me? She didn't flinch. It's just better this way. No drama. No tension. The irony? I was the least dramatic one in the family. Always the one who stayed late to wash dishes, bought the groceries when money was tight, kept my mouth shut when insults flew like gravy at a toddler table. The one who offered to host Thanksgiving 2 years ago and got shut down with a scoff. Your place is too small. It'll smell like cat. So I stood there, pie recipe in one hand, phone in the other, trying to process the weight of what just happened. You really don't want me there? I think it's for the best, she said, not unkindly, just efficiently, like she was deleting a spam email. I felt my face flush. But I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I didn't beg like I did when she forgot my birthday last year. This time I just smiled. A slow, quiet, understanding smile. Then I turned, walked out of her perfectly decorated home, past the maple-scented wreath I bought her last fall, and drove away with one hand steady on the wheel and the other already drafting the mental checklist. Because if I wasn't family anymore, then maybe it was time I stopped acting like it. I got home to my one-bedroom apartment, the same one I used to let my brother crash in when he needed space from his girlfriend. The same one I once filled with homemade leftovers for my parents when they were sick and broke and too proud to ask for help. I sat down, opened my laptop and started checking accounts. Utility autopays. Mortgage transfers. Emergency cards. Grocery store apps. All still active. All still connected. To me. All taken for granted. I leaned back in my chair, watching the glow of the screen reflect in the glass of wine I poured myself instead of crying. And that's when I said it out loud just once, to the walls that had always listened more than my own family. Thanksgiving is for family? Good. Then it's time they learn how expensive it is to treat someone like they're nothing. And that was the beginning. It didn't start with Thanksgiving. It never does. The moment you're erased like that, told you're not family enough for a plate of turkey, it's never about the day. It's about everything that came before. I was the second child. The afterthought. The utility daughter. When I was 10, my mom forgot to bring cupcakes to school for my birthday, because she was helping my brother pick out his Halloween costume. When I was 16 and got accepted into a summer STEM program, she said, "That's nice, but you should be around to help your brother get ready for college. He's the one with the real future. He crashed his car at 18. She blamed me, because I wasn't there to remind him to slow down. He got a business degree with average grades. I graduated magna cum laude. Guess who got the front page post on her Facebook? It was always him. And somehow I was always useful. When Dad's hours were cut during the recession, I quietly paid the electric bill. I was still in college, barely making it myself, but I did it without being asked. When Mom got sick and the insurance didn't cover the prescriptions, I filled the gap. She never said thank you, just asked why I didn't also pick up her vitamin refills. When their roof started leaking, I called a contractor and paid the deposit, and she told relatives it was a gift from the church. That's the kind of daughter I was. The invisible one. Not because I didn't show up, but because I showed up too much. They didn't notice anymore. I was the quiet wall they leaned on and forgot was load-bearing. But there were cracks forming. Last Christmas, I brought a bonus check from work and used part of it to buy them a new microwave smart thermostat and pay off their overdue gas bill. She smiled, kissed my cheek and said, "You've always been so helpful. Like a really responsible assistant." Assistant. Not daughter. That was the word that stayed with me. Not generous. Not amazing. Assistant. So when Thanksgiving came and I was told to sit it out like an intern whose contract expired, I realized something. I wasn't invited to family. I was employed by them. Only difference, I never signed a contract. I never asked for pay. But this time I was about to collect. Not in anger. Not in revenge. Just in overdue boundaries. Because love without gratitude isn't love. It's expectation. And I had met every one of theirs, for years, without once having a single one of mine acknowledged. So now they could figure out what it felt like to be forgotten. After that conversation with my mother, I stopped checking my phone for messages. Because I already knew what would come next. Not words. Charges. And sure enough, they came. 3 days after I was told I was too much drama for Thanksgiving, I got an email alert. Your Capital One balance has increased. The item? A bulk grocery store transaction. Almost $400. I stared at the screen. Ham, wine, flowers, candles. A spiral of things I would have helped pay for, had I been invited. But now they were still helping themselves. I logged in and realized something I had forgotten. An old card I once gave Mom just for emergencies was still active. I'd set a soft limit, and I never thought to check. Because that's what happens when you're the responsible one. You forget to look over your shoulder. You're too busy being the safety net for everyone else. Then it hit me. They didn't want me there for Thanksgiving, but they still wanted me to fund it. Not just this year. Every year. Every bill. Every unspoken expectation. Utilities. Still under my auto pay from last winter when the pipes froze. Mortgage. I'd been covering the shortfall for 7 months. After Dad lost part of his pension and Mom cried over the phone one night. Just until we get back on our feet, she said. They never told anyone it was me. Never thanked me. Never even checked if it was a burden. No. I was just a ghost with a wallet. That Thanksgiving dinner? With its fine china and wine glasses clinking? My money paid for every bite. But I wasn't good enough to sit at the table. I sat in silence for a long time that night. Then I opened a new spreadsheet. And for the first time in my life I treated my family like what they had quietly turned me into. A business transaction. I listed every payment I'd made in the last 5 years. Every card. Every auto draft. Every utility bill. Every forgotten grocery run. And at the top of that list in bold red. No longer in service. The next day I called the bank. I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate. I just said, I'd like to cancel access to all secondary users. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it because I had finally woken up. You can only be someone's doormat for so long before the welcome sign fades, and you realize you've just been stepped on. That morning I logged into every account I could think of. Utilities. Credit cards. Mortgage. Gas apps. Grocery memberships. Even the old cable package I hadn't used in years. But they still did through my name. First stop, the mortgage. 7 months ago when my dad casually mentioned the word foreclosure, I stepped in. Quietly. Automatically. It was never thank you. It was handled. Not anymore. I canceled the autopay. The payment was due in 5 days. Then I moved to the electricity account, one I had started covering the year their heater broke and they forgot to send in the payment. Canceled that too. Internet. Gone. Streaming. Bye. My Spotify account still had a playlist titled Mom's Mornings. Deleted. It was strange how easy it felt, how quiet my heart was while doing it. Like taking off a coat I didn't realize I'd been wearing for years. Then came the store card. I'd only left it open for medical emergencies, but last week they used it to buy $180 worth of cheese, wine, and scented candles. So I froze it. Just one click. And with it, 1,000 unspoken obligations turned to dust. I checked my phone. A message from Mom had come in earlier. Sweetheart, do you know why the Netflix isn't working? I didn't reply. A few hours later. Can you check something with the gas bill? It's acting up. I still didn't reply. Because the thing is, when someone disinvites you from their table, they also disinvite themselves from your generosity. And this wasn't war. It wasn't revenge. It was accounting. If I wasn't welcome, I wasn't available either. I poured a glass of wine, the cheap kind my mother used to roll her eyes at, and sat down on the couch I'd paid for myself. For the first time in a long time I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. And while they were clinking glasses and carving turkey thinking they'd cut me out, they had no idea what I was cutting off. Silently. Without fanfare. Without explanation. Just one click at a time. Thanksgiving Day arrived. And for the first time in my adult life, I had nothing to do. No pie to bake. No chairs to fold. No errands to run. No grocery bills to cover. No role to play. It was eerily quiet in my apartment. Not sad, just still. I made pancakes. For one. I let jazz play softly in the background. No screaming kids. No sarcastic jabs. No mom yelling, "Where's the serving spoon? Rachel, did you move it again?" Nothing. It was the most peaceful Thanksgiving I'd had since I was a child. But while I was flipping pancakes, my phone vibrated. Group chat. Family Thanksgiving yellow heart. Mom had posted a photo. Everyone smiling. Candles lit. A beautiful roast. I zoomed in. The new fiancé was there. My brother's third in 4 years. She was seated right beside my mother, holding hands. Someone had taken my seat. Literally. The folding chair I always sat in. Same wine-colored cover. Same corner near the entryway. Just not me in it. Not even a mention of me in the caption. Just, "So thankful for this incredible family. We are so blessed." Yellow heart fallen leaf. I stared at it, but I didn't feel a sting. Not anymore. Because for once they had actually gotten what they wanted. A family dinner without me. They just hadn't realized yet what that really meant. 10 minutes later I got a second message. This time not in the group chat. A direct text from Dad. "Hey, something's going on with the mortgage site. Can you check?" Then another. "And Wi-Fi's out. Can't get the TV to work. Is it the modem?" Then Mom. "Rachel, did you cancel something? The gas stove won't turn on and I'm trying to reheat the pie." Then again. "Are you getting these? We're having problems. Your brother said the account says inactive." So I didn't reply. I just watched the dots bubble. And stop. Then the phone went still again. And I went back to my pancakes. Because while they were busy carving a turkey, I had already carved my way out of a system that fed everyone but me. 3 days passed. 3 days of silence from me. 3 days of them scrambling, I assumed, resetting passwords, calling utility companies, trying to understand how everything that once magically worked was now broken. Then came the knock. Not the polite kind. The frantic kind. I opened my apartment door slowly, already knowing who I'd see. Mom and Dad. Standing in the hallway. Holding a folder. And their pride in pieces. Mom looked exhausted. Eyes red. He tried to start gentle. "Sweetheart." "Rachel," I said. She blinked. "What?" "My name. It's Rachel. Not sweetheart, when you need something. Not assistant. Not extra. Just Rachel." Dad cut in. "Hey, we get it. Things have been complicated. But this was overboard." I crossed my arms. "What was?" He held up the folder. Inside were printed statements. Mortgage delinquent. Utility shutoffs. Credit card frozen. I nodded slowly. "Oh. So it's only overboard when I stop paying for everything." "You didn't tell us you were cutting things off," Mom said, her voice rising. I raised an eyebrow. "You didn't tell me I was uninvited from Thanksgiving." Silence. Dad finally said it. The thing I'd waited years to hear, but not in the way I wanted. "We didn't think it mattered this much to you." There was the admission. That to them my value had been measured in silence, in swipes, in automatic payments. Not presence. Not love. Just function. I stared at them for a long moment. Then I said something simple. "You asked me not to come. So I didn't." Mom's lips trembled. "But, the bills." "I'm not your provider," I said calmly. "I'm your daughter. And daughters don't come with receipts and renewals." Dad rubbed his temple. "Rachel, this isn't the way to handle family." I tilted my head. "No. But it's the way I handled employers who underpaid me and expected loyalty. And frankly, you trained me well." They looked stunned. Then a shift. Guilt. Real raw guilt. And it wasn't satisfying. It was sad. I took a breath. There's a difference between being included and being useful. I spent years thinking they were the same. They're not. Mom reached out, tears finally falling. "Can we fix this?" I didn't move. Just said, "You can." But not with a checkbook. Not with apologies typed in group chats. With effort. With space. With truth. She nodded, wiping her face. Dad lowered the folder. "Understood." They turned to leave. And as the door closed behind them, I stood still in my quiet apartment. There was no celebration. No fireworks. Just the silence of boundaries finally set and respected. The funny thing about peace? It doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't burst through the door waving a flag. It slips in quietly right when you stop begging for it. A week after that knock, I started noticing the difference. In my chest. In my space. In my silence. No calls asking for help. No sudden charges on my account. No long guilt trips masked as catch-up phone calls. Just stillness. I didn't rush to fix anything. I didn't reach out. I didn't check in to make sure they were okay, because for the first time I realized that wasn't my job. A few days later, I got a handwritten card in the mail. From Mom. No flowers. No forced pleasantries. Just 7 words. We took you for granted. We're sorry. Inside the envelope was a canceled check. $1,700. The last bill I'd ever paid for them. Reimbursed. It was a start. And that's all I ever really wanted. Not the money. The acknowledgement. Meanwhile, life began to feel like mine again. I picked up a weekend class. Something I'd always wanted to do but never had the time for. I visited friends. Real ones. The kind who never forgot birthdays or measured me by how much I gave. I redecorated my space. No more beige throw pillows my mother guilted me into keeping. I even bought a new chair for my kitchen table. Not because I needed it, but because I finally had space for me. And then Thanksgiving came around again. Almost exactly a year later. This time I hosted. Small dinner. 5 friends. 1 neighbor. A couple coworkers. Simple dishes. Real laughter. Midway through the meal I raised a toast. To boundaries. To knowing your worth. And to the people who never made me earn a seat. They clinked glasses. And I smiled not because I had won something, but because I had chosen something. Myself. No bitterness. No need to punish anyone. Just a deep, grounded sense that I had reclaimed my identity. Not as someone's +1 or pocketbook or assistant. But as Rachel. Just Rachel. And that was enough. It happened on a quiet Wednesday. I was leaving a cafe, coffee in hand, when my phone buzzed. A voicemail from Mom. I hesitated, then hit play. Hi honey. We were wondering, your father's credit card just got declined at the pharmacy. We tried the emergency card too, but it says the account's closed. We don't know what's going on. Can you call us back? Please. I didn't call back. Because I had already answered. With silence. With distance. With that one moment on Thanksgiving when I stopped explaining myself and just let go. 3 hours later, another message arrived. This time from Dad. Short. Kurt. The mortgage company is threatening action. We thought it was paid. Can you check if there's a mistake? I smiled faintly. There was no mistake. There was clarity. A year ago I might have rushed to fix it. Log in. Call the bank. Move funds around to help out. No. I simply replied with one line. I was asked not to come. I assumed that meant permanently. Hope the dinner was worth it. I pressed send. That was it. No exclamation points. No apology. No justifications. Because the truth is, people show you how they value you, not through what they say but through what they expect. They expected me to fund their holidays, clean up their messes, and disappear quietly when I became inconvenient. But I didn't disappear. I just unplugged the machine they forgot I built. Weeks later my cousin called. I don't know what you said, but your mom's been real quiet lately. I just said, sometimes silence teaches louder than words. By then the family knew. Not just that I had stopped paying, but that I had started living. Living on my terms. A month after that my brother sent a wedding invitation. It was handwritten. No group chat. No +1 label. Just, would love for you to be there. At the head table. I went. Not for them. For me. And when I walked in my mom stood up. Her eyes were soft. She didn't hug me. Didn't rush over. She just said, you look happy. I nodded. I am. And that was enough. They never got the old me back. Because the old me was exhausted, stretched thin, buried under obligation. This me? She's calm. She's clear. She chooses. And if my absence ever hurt them the way their words once hurt me, well, now they know how it feels. When someone essential quietly walks away. When the heart of the house turns off the light. And simply says, figure it out.